Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I'm Ryan, and today I'll be talking about Great River by Paul Horgan, the first part. This is a pretty long book, and it comes in 2 volumes. My copy I've done an unboxing for, so check out my unboxing. The reason I got this was I read another Paul Horgan book, and that was A Distant Trumpet. I've done a review for A Distant Trumpet. I liked A Distant Trumpet so much, and that's a work of fiction, that I had to go out and get a first edition, first printing, signed copy of that book. And I got it, and I did an unboxing of that, so check that out. And the guy who I got that from said that Paul Horgan's real masterpiece is Great River. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I think I got it for my birthday. And this is signed. This is a first edition, first printing, signed. It is a winner of a Pulitzer Prize, and Paul won 2 Pulitzers. But this one is, I don't know if this is the first one or the second one. So I will show you the volume that I have read so far. It's plain on the front, right? And then here's the spine. Can I get that to actually, there we go. Great River, Volume 1. Come on, you can do it. Why am I hitting the book instead of the screen? That's stupid. So Volume 1, this is the Great River, the Rio Grande, and North America History. The Rio Grande and North American History. Volume 1 is Indians and Spain. Wow. Volume 1 was 440 pages. I just finished it. I loved it. There's so much. And this is Volume 2 here. This is the next one I'm going to read. Volume 2 is Mexico and the United States. I guess I should show you that. This is the Volume 1, and it was signed Bishop something. It looks like Bishop W. something something. With all the best wishes from Paul Horgan in Dallas, 1955. This won the Pulitzer. It was published in 1954. I don't know when it won the Pulitzer, but very cool book, and it came in a slipcase, which is right here. This is what it looks like, and on the other side, it has some more information. So that's cool. This is a story, a nonfiction history of the Rio Grande. And for people who aren't in the United States and don't know much about the United States, the Rio Grande is a river that runs from Colorado to the Gulf of Mexico. And it goes through a number of states. It forms the border between Mexico and the United States. It's a very important river. I haven't said this here, but I have an ex-wife. My ex-wife, before she was my wife, lived for a short time in New Mexico, in Santa Fe. And I used to go to visit. And I didn't really have an appreciation for the history. She worked for the Indian Health Service and dealt with Pueblo Indians. And this book starts with the history of Indians around the river. Way back. It moves on further, but it starts with the development of houses in caves, in the cliffs, like Mesa Verde. And eventually these people move down to Rio Grande. And there's a lot of scenarios, there's a lot of theories of why that happened. But this is prehistoric. So I think it's probably built on archaeological finds and just some theorizing, because there's not written history of this. So the first part about Indians, just about Indians, is pretty short. It's probably 50 to 70 pages, but it's very interesting, and it's very long ago. This is not like your Cowboys and Indians time period. This is way before that. This is land bridge from Asia kind of thing. In the second part of Volume 1, where it talks about the Spanish Empire, specifically New Spain in the Americas, there's still a lot of Indians. They never went away. They're still there. But it talks about New Spain, but it has not neglected Indians in that part. They're a major part of that book. It's just that part of the book. It's just not specifically about Indians. The New Spain stuff I didn't know about, really. I don't think I had done any kind of reading in that area in at least like 20 years or more. How old am I? God, more than 20 years, maybe 25 years. Jeez, I'm old. One of the things I want to show you, though, is so when I was reading this book, one of the places that is talked about is the palace, the governor's palace in Santa Fe. And this is when it was still part of New Spain. I was like, I wonder how many of these places that are mentioned in here, and this is 15s and 1600s, I wonder if they're still there. What's going on? And I looked, and I found the building that it talks about, which is where the governor lived and where people were executed, and there was an uprising and people had to leave, and so much stuff happened at the site. And I went back and looked, and I've definitely been there. And I don't know what that building's used for anymore, but outside of it, people send up like vendors, especially locals, especially natives, Pueblo Indians, and they sell things that they make. And I bought this. I like bears. I think this is orange calcite, but I bought it from a Native American, a Pueblo Indian, I believe, although there are other tribes that also set up shop there. I bought this in Santa Fe on the steps, or right at the palace of Governor's Palace, or whatever it's called. That's cool. That's my show and tell for this one. What really surprised me, besides not knowing anything, really, I mean, I knew some stuff, but it's amazing how bloody and rough it was living for everyone. And I think we get used to modern warfare where people die during the fight, and then you have prisoners, and you hold them, and eventually they're let free and whatever. Like, basically, if you lost a fight, if you were on the losing side of a major battle, you were going to be executed if you weren't dead from the battle. And there's a lot of back and forth between developments from Spain and the pushback from the native population in that area. Some of them are the river Indians, the Pueblo Indians, that really settled around the Rio Grande, in areas Santa Fe and Taos, and there's Zunis, there are Apaches and Comanches. Apaches and Comanches were really plains Indians that moved around and hunted and then would raid Pueblo Indian settlements. But there's a lot of back and forth between settlements, abuses, and revolts. And when revolts happened, they would wipe out entire families in haciendas and on forts. They would record this guy as signing up to help fight back. He lost his sister, his 5 kids, his wife, his mother, his father, 2 brothers. I mean, it's just like, it was really rough. And it happened all the time. It's really just, I don't know why you would ever want to live in the West, because it's, more affordable land, or you were already there because you're Native American. It was amazingly one-sided. It wasn't as surprising, but amazingly one-sided in the battles. Usually, not all the time. If there was a mass uprising of 20, 30,000 Indians, then, people weren't going to survive that. But a lot of times you have Spanish army units that have, 50 people, 100, maybe 150, and they would lose 1 or 2 people in battles with Indians, and then they would kill 300, 500 Indians. That's just, you don't see that, right? Like, I have not watched a movie where you see those kinds of numbers. It's always smaller war parties and stuff. And granted, I don't think most of what I've seen has gone back that far. It really starts, besides the Indians, the part of Volume 1 that talks about New Spain goes through Philip II, Philip III, the challenges, the divisions between the church and the civil authorities. They were called the Two Majesties. And they kind of felt like one was serving God, one was serving the crown. They should be able to work together, but there were times where there was a lot of friction and arrests and killings. And it's crazy. There was that kind of internal strife. And it starts really the part about Spain with Cortez, Montezuma taking over the Aztec areas, developing settlements in Mexico, around Mexico City, and that being the real power for New Spain. And then the movement up, looking for more silver and more gold. That was really the push all the time for Spain. And then finding that wasn't there in North America. The other side of the push was Christianizing native populations, which they did a lot of. And there was a lot of fathers, priests, kind of watching out for their lambs, their natives that they were trying to convert, and civil authorities trying to enslave them and abuse them and take their stuff. One of the really interesting things that I had read about was one of the miracles, and it was really interesting to read. And there are ways that I'm sure people could try to explain it away too, and there are ways that people would say this is a real miracle. There was in Spain who was saying that she was traveling to parts of North America and preaching to Indians. And some of the Spanish authorities wanted to run this by if it's a true miracle, if it's really happening. So they had one of the priests go that was familiar with New Mexico and the Texas plains, and went to Spain and listened to her. And a lot of what she was explaining sounded exactly like the areas that she would have been in. They get back and they talk to the natives. And there's this tribe that has repeatedly come back to different settlements trying to be converted. And they didn't have the manpower at the mission to do that, so they would turn them away. And it became kind of a question, why do they keep coming back? Why are they so persistent? So they went and they talked to the tribe and they said, what's going on? And they said, well, there's a woman who looks like this picture, but she wears a blue cover. And she comes to us and has been teaching us for years. And she tells us to go and get baptized by the priests. There were no nuns in that area. And it was more than one tribe that described this woman and described the person that was in Spain, who had never been, at least physically, to the New World. And it was really interesting to now, like, the skeptic could say, well, they could have just rewritten history and made up all the facts, but there's a lot of sign-offs on the story through history, so it's pretty interesting to me. We go through really the kind of the collapse of Spain and the divisions within Spain, and then the divisions between Spain and Spanish holdings, and friction between New Spain and French holdings, and then English and the United States. And it really ends with revolution in New Spain from the crown, and the back and forth between the royalists and the revolutionaries. And it ends with a letter from Stephen F. Austin about an agreement he had with the crown to settle in San Antonio. And I cannot wait to see where it goes from here, because it's not a cliffhanger. I think it's already happened, but I'm not. My best friend's from Texas and loves everything Texas, the Alamo, all the different revolutions they've had. But I don't know a whole lot besides the kind of baseline non-Texan history. So, and I grew up in Tennessee, which is really part of the reason that there was even an attempt at defending the Alamo, because of Tennessee volunteering to go help. I'm really excited to see where that goes. That's going to be in Volume 2. Volume 2, again, is Mexico and the United States. and that's what I'm going to read next. This whole thing comes out to be just under 1,000 pages. I think if you get the book that has both volumes in one, it's over 1,000 pages. In here, it's 900 something. So we will see what happens with the second half of this. But I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. I love Paul Horgan stuff. It's so cool to own this book and to have it signed and to realize that this is a Pulitzer Prize winner with just a really interesting style of making history interesting and, you know, really not stumping me, but really keeping me interested to read 440 pages as quickly as I have. For me, it's small letters, very small letters, but we'll see what the next 500 whatever pages bring. But I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I bet something at the Alamo is going to happen. I don't know what. So thanks for being here today. I will talk to you later.